I didn't feel like I could put out a training on reverse wholesaling without first making sure that we're explaining what wholesaling is. Now, if you've tried wholesaling or you're familiar with it, you can just kind of skip this one. But if you're somebody who joined this group to try to figure out how to make some side income in real estate, I want to explain it for you. So wholesaling is often described as the way to like make money or flip houses without having to buy the houses and like no money. It basically ends up sounding kind of scammy, like get rich quick, but it's actually like a very, very common practice in your life. Pretty much anything you're ever spending money on has been wholesaled. From the gas you put in your car to the parts that are in that same car, down to like even your iPhone, right? Somebody is buying the product and then turning around and selling it to somebody else for a markup. Like if you go and buy an iPhone from AT&T, you're buying an Apple product, but the sale's going through AT&T. So what's different with wholesaling real estate, imagine we took that same iPhone, but you negotiated to buy this iPhone from me for $500. And you turned around and you had a buddy that was wanting a new iPhone and was willing to pay $800. So there's some paperwork that's involved. You and I sign an agreement to sell you the phone for $500. You then sign a contract with your buddy where for $300 paid to you, he can buy the phone from me for $500. So he's paying $800. I'm getting my $500. He's getting the phone. You're getting $300 just for like connecting those two parties. That's effectively how wholesaling in real estate works. You're negotiating a good deal on a property. You're going under contract to buy that property. And then you're turning around and finding somebody else like me to buy that property from you at a markup, right? Sounds simple enough, but it's actually kind of complex. When I was brand new, it felt kind of like throwing all of the pieces of a puzzle up in the air and hoping that they landed correctly, all connected. And a lot of the times it didn't, right? So what are the downsides or drawbacks to wholesaling? Why is this not just a course on wholesaling? Great question. First thing with wholesaling, there's a lot of variables that if you're like a total newbie like I was, you're going to really struggle with. The first one being how to figure out comps or comparable sales, or basically figure out what a property is worth. If you're not a realtor, you don't have MLS access, looking online on like Zillow, they'll give you like an estimate of what a property is worth, but it's not accurate. Redfin's got one, Trulia's got one, but they're all kind of off. Even with real estate agents, if you ask 5 of them what a place is worth, you're going to get 5 very, very different answers. So that's the first place you can mess up. If I'm making somebody an offer to buy their house based off of what I think it's worth, and what I think it's worth is wrong, I'm not getting a good deal, right? The next place that we run into problems is trying to figure out how much work that property needs or what like the repair costs are. Wholesalers, when they're buying properties, they're looking at what a house is worth. They're subtracting out the cost of repairs, subtracting out what they want to make, and then this is their offer right here. So the other place that people get this really, really wrong is on that repair cost estimate. Just like realtors, if you ask 5 different contractors how much it's going to take to do carpet and paint and put a roof on a place, and that's just like basic. We're not even talking foundation issues or some of the weird things you'll run into in real estate. You're going to get 5 very different answers. There's guys that'll charge you $35,000 for a kitchen, and there's guys that'll do it for $5,000. But how do you know which one you need or what the property needs? Or, realistically, you're not even walking other people through it because people aren't going to give you the time of day if you're trying to get contractors to walk a place for you. So how do you figure out what it's worth and how much work it needs? And on how much work it needs, if you assume it needs more than it really does, your offers are going to be too low. If you assume it needs less, which is normally what people do when they're wholesaling, nobody's going to want to buy it from you. So we kind of have these 2 variables, and that's how we make money in real estate because that's all like subjective. What I think a property is worth determines what I'm willing to pay for it. But if you're just starting out, it's pretty hard to pin what something's worth and how much work it needs. Now, here's the problem with wholesaling. You are going to a seller and saying, hey, I'm going to buy your house, but you're really not. You're trying to find somebody else to buy it from you. You go under contract with them. What if you can't find a buyer? A lot of people who teach wholesaling, a lot of people who wholesale will say, oh, well, you just pull out of the agreement. And they have these like BS excuses that they call escape clauses. Things like, oh, my partner didn't approve the deal, or, oh, it needs more work than what I thought it needed. For me, even though I did it early on, I'll just be super transparent with you, it didn't quite sit right with me because I was going to somebody pretending I could buy a house that I knew I couldn't, talking about, I had partners that I didn't have yet. I had to then go try and find, and then hopefully I get all these variables correct, right? Now, this isn't like wholesaling is bad or evil or the people who do it are messed up. I'll be totally transparent with you guys. We wholesale a ton of properties now. The difference is I've done hundreds of these deals. I know what stuff is worth. I know how much it's going to cost me to fix it. And I have people that buy my stuff all the time that I choose not to keep that are like ready, willing, like begging me for deals. So I'm not going under contract trying to find a buyer, trying to figure out what it's worth, trying to figure out repairs like I was doing early on. And I really struggled trying to do that. I mean, I'd spend $2,000 on marketing to make $3,000 on a deal where I've got $1,000 left and it took me 45 days and my rent's due again, right? So I'm going to show you guys the easier path to doing this. Now, in 2016, I only did 6 wholesale deals. I actually went full time. And when I tell you that I barely kept my head above water, I'm not exaggerating. I had tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. My mortgage was dirt cheap. It was like $570. And there was months that it was like, where am I going to get $570 from to be able to stay in my house? 2017, I started reverse wholesaling, which is what we're going to talk about in the next module. And one of the guys who I sold deals to 1099 me, meaning paid me and reported to the IRS $371,000. 2017, in that year, I did 74 deals. I went from like sleepless nights, drinking too much alcohol, self-medicating, like how am I going to make ends meet, to like, I got 6 figures in my bank account. I've never had this before. So let's hop into the next module where I can get into the meat and potatoes of how you can get out there and start making some cash.